This prompt asks you to describe what the zero of a function is in your own words. And there's some information over here that might be helpful to you. The general form of a linear function is f of x equals ax plus b. And the factored form of a linear function is f of x equals a times x minus c. This part right here, the x minus c part, is especially helpful when you're figuring out something about the zeros of a function. So let's look at Desmos. This red line is written in general form. So we have f of x equals a, or m, times x plus -9, or minus 9. This is our slope. This is our y-intercept. And we can see that on the graph. You can see that the slope is 3 by starting at a point, any point on the line, and going up 3 and over 1, and you see that you're still on the line. So that shows that the slope is indeed 3. You can also see this y-intercept, because here, where x is 0, y is -9. So that matches what our function or our equation says. Important to note, very important to note, your y-intercept is always when x equals 0. It makes sense if you think about it, because this y-axis always runs through the point where x is 0. So x is always going to be 0 for your y-intercept. Now let's look at this other form of the equation. This is in factored form because we wanted to get the x by itself, and so we divided 3x by 3 to just leave x on the inside, and we divided -9 by 3 to leave -3 on the inside of the parentheses. If you multiplied this back out, you'd get 3x minus 9. So we know they're equivalent. We also know they're equivalent because if we turn this line off quickly, we see that they're exactly the same line, just with different names. Now here's something that's very important to notice. This part right here, this tells you important information. And what it tells you is where this line crosses the x-axis. If you look at this part of the equation, we can see that the x-intercept is going to be 3. And look right here, 1, 2, 3. 3 is where the line crosses the x-axis. So there are two ways you can use this form to figure that out. The first way is a shortcut. You can take this x minus 3 portion of the factored form and set it equal to 0. Then you solve for x. So add 3 to both sides, and that's going to tell you that x equals 3. That's one way. This, now you know, is the x-intercept. Another way to get to the same idea is you can know that just like for the y-intercept, x equals 0, for the x-intercept, y always equals 0. So when you're looking for the x-intercept, remember that your y is 0, and when you're looking for the y-intercept, your x is 0. And you might want to memorize that, but there's no need to memorize it if you think about what a graph is, because when you have the y-axis, where the y-intercept is always going to be, x is always equal to 0 right here when you're on the y-axis. And when you're on the x-axis, this axis, y is always equal to 0 right here. But if it helps you to think about this instead of having to go back and think about the graph every time, that's fine too. So what you can do if you're looking for an intercept, say I'm looking for the x-intercept, I just make y equal to 0. So in this case, I make y equal to 0, and I bet you can guess what we'll do. We're going to solve for x. So we're going to get 0. Actually, I don't want to do that. I want to divide both sides by 3 first. That'll be a little bit more my style. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And then 3 over 3 is 1. So these are gone. And that leaves us with 0 divided by 3 is 0, equals x minus 3. And now you can see that we're back to where we were before, where we add 3 to both sides to find out that x equals 3. So you can take the shortcut or the long cut, but either way you'll find out that the x-intercept is 3.